We should have won it right at the end there. That chance, Trossard, oh my God. We actually should have won it 2-1 right at the end of the game. Well, a game that really meant nothing. Obviously, both teams have already qualified. This was a game that you could class as a bit of a throwaway. Yet we're still starting Saliba, Gabriel, Havertz. I mean, Cedric. A player that's most likely going to be leaving the club, possibly next month. I don't get Arteta sometimes. I'm his biggest fan. I love Arteta. I love what he's done with the team. I love what he's done with the club. He's taken us from what felt like the absolute lowest of lows to what has been the best couple of seasons now since 2004, 2005. I guess you could say the Leicester season when they won the league, we were pretty decent. But honestly, I love everything that Arteta's done, but one thing that really does bother me about Mikel Arteta is I'm not sure if it's a lack of trust, but he definitely doesn't seem to want to use youth players. And that does upset me because that's been a big part of Arsenal. That's been a huge part of seeing Saka, Joe Willock, obviously, before he left, Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson. There's so many young talents that have come through into the squad. And whilst Mikel Arteta's playing a lot of those guys, he didn't give them their first games. Mikel Arteta didn't allow Saka into the squad. That was, of course, Emery. And I do wonder what kind of message this is sending out to the academy players that were on the bench today, specifically Nwaneri, who signed a new deal in the summer when he could have potentially moved to a different club for, let's face it, quite a substantial amount of money. Then you've got Walters on the bench as well, who's impressing in training, and apparently he's the next best right back at the club. And why is Arteta in a game that literally means nothing, by the way? Of course, you still want to win it. You still want to have some good form, good performance, but it means nothing. We could have lost this game 17-0 tonight and it wouldn't have mattered, technically, on paper. So why not throw on Nwaneri for the last 30 minutes? Why not put Walters on when, I mean, Saliba's come off in the 61st minute, as you can see here, along with Cedric and El Neni. We're putting Declan Rice on at centre-back, Ben White on at right-back. And I'm just thinking, well, at least if it was me, if one of those players needed to come on to help steady the team, a bit more experience in there, whatever, maybe you put Ben White at centre-back and then put Walters on at right-back. We're bringing on, I mean, when Havertz came off and we're bringing on Gabriel Jesus, Emile Smith-Rowe, who's been injured, I kind of understand getting him on the pitch, giving him some minutes, but why is Jesus coming on? Throw on Nwaneri up front. The guy just scored 5 goals the other day for the under-21s. 5 goals. And then we're playing in the Champions League in a game that means nothing. There's literally nothing on the line whatsoever. We win the group. We've won the group already. And Nwaneri can't even get 5, 10 minutes. I would have started him today. Why not? There's literally no reason for this lineup. Cedric starting at right back makes literally no sense. And he wasn't bad, by the way. Cedric, if there's one thing that he has got that I think some of our players really don't have in that position, he has a wicked cross. He is such a good crosser of the ball. He's pretty much average in every other department. But today he was pretty good. And if I was watching him and this was a player that maybe we were going to give a year extra as just a real backup player, then fair enough. But we all know what's going on. We all know Cedric's, his time is limited. He's not going to be here long, and he's starting in the Champions League. I don't understand it at all. I would have rather go 3 at the back with Saliba, Gabriel, Kiwior, move into 4 midfielders, get Nwaneri in there, or... really frustrating. Look at the subs. First team players are coming on. It's mental. I'm very glad that Saka didn't come on. That would have been an absolute joke. I would have been so mad at that. Where's it gone? I'm just really sad for Nwaneri especially because I really thought after such a good performance midweek or recently against Liverpool, I just thought today would be a really good opportunity for him to just be thrown on for half an hour. Sousa, Walters, even Hein could have started today. Like I get that Ramsdale hasn't been getting minutes, and you could argue there were a few moments again today where you're just thinking, ooh. He made one good save when Rice deflected a shot, and then Ramsdale had to get a touch to it. Before we move on, though, I do want to talk about PSV because what they're doing in the Netherlands is truly remarkable. They've played 15 games and they've won all 15. They've only conceded 6 goals this season. They are genuinely in within a shout to have a perfect season. They could win every single game. Not a single club seems to be getting close to them right now. They do have AZ up next, so that'll be an interesting one. But PSV are a really good side. Really impressive. Vitesse, wow, took his goal so well. Bakayoko, he will play for a top club next season. I know he was linked, was it Burnley? Now, don't get me wrong, Burnley, he probably would have done very well. He would have got minutes there for sure, but he can do better than that. And I think maybe it's the right thing he stayed on for one more year because they're going to win the league, obviously. He's going to be one of their star players. He will get a big move. Really, really impressive. I thought, is it Saibari? He was really impressive. Big fan of his. And also Teze at right back, who you can't see, had some really good moments. And their goalkeeper's always good, Benitez. I thought PSV, even though they'd rotated quite a lot, as we did, they were really good tonight. And I'm a big fan of their boss, Peter Bosz, I don't know. El Neni coming off injured. He's just kind of got back into the swing of things. Don't forget, El Neni is, I think, the only Arsenal player that was here last time we were in the Champions League. Obviously, Jorginho's played, Havertz has played with Chelsea, and would any of the other players in the team there? I don't think so. I think El Neni is the only person at the club left that was here when we played all those years ago in the Champions League. I remember, actually, a goal he scored against Barcelona. Man, what a throwback that is. And I'm just so sad to see him coming off and looking so down because I thought he was actually doing all right. I've got to be honest. I thought he was having a pretty tidy game. And I thought Jorginho was pretty good. Quickly, let's talk about Nketiah because, again, he's got his goal today, but I didn't think he did particularly well. I do find that Nketiah's very hot and cold. He has moments where you think, wow, there's a player in there. He took his goal so well. But then there's moments where he's dribbling with his head down. He's running into players. He's not looking up. He's not finding passes. However, it would have been a completely different story if Trossard, who was, I thought, awful today, really bad performance from him, if Trossard, who had that chance in the dying seconds, if he just looked up and gave it to Nketiah, that's 2-1 and 2 goals for Nketiah. Real shame. And also Havertz, I didn't think had a particularly great game today, even though the first 10, 15 minutes he looked quite bright. Oh, and lastly, this man right here, Kiwior. I swear, if we sell him, Milan want him, Roma want him. There's a reason, okay? And I'm just going to say this right now. It's 3 words. I love Kiwior. I genuinely think he might have one of the highest ceilings. He has such a great potential as a ball-playing centre-back. He can play the inverted left-back role very well. I think he does a very good job with that, although he doesn't tuck in as much as Zinchenko. He's just so good with the ball at his feet. He's got a wicked shot on him as well. He had a shot with his right foot, which was very tame. But honestly, I really like Kiwior, and I would hate to see him leave. I really would. George says, poor performance, but it doesn't really matter. Exactly. Good to come away with no injuries. Very important. But was confused by the subs. Great to see Emil back, but shame not to see the academy boys. I think this is going to be very similar answers to my tweet today. Would have been nice to see some of the youngsters. Yeah, I know, right? Jaden says, no major injuries. That's a win. Disappointed none of the youngsters got a chance. Gunner for life. Is that meant to be? 4L153. Alice? I don't know. Arteta's stubbornness is his downfall. In a game with nothing to win or lose, why bring Rice, Erdegaard, Jesus on? Bring on the youth. I will boldly say that Saka would not have broken out under Arteta. Arteta must learn from City, Madrid, Barcelona. There's a lot of other teams out there that are good examples, and thank you for using the hashtag, by the way. But I agree. I think if Arteta was in charge when Emery was, I don't think Saka would have broken into the team. Maybe not then. Maybe he would have done it another time because I think naturally he's just that good. He would have got into the team, but Emery really showed a lot of hope and a lot of trust in Saka to bring him in so young. I don't think Arteta would have done that either. And then lastly, Bob says, disappointed not to see the young lads. This game proves Nelson should be played more. I haven't talked about Nelson. I thought he was really good. What rating did he get? Oh, he got man of the match. Yeah, I mean, deserved. I really thought Nelson did very well. I would have rather Nelson was out on that left side instead of Trossard today. And then we could have had Nwaneri, or even Havertz could play out on that right side, and we could put Nwaneri in midfield. Like, there's so many ways we could have done it today, and it's so disappointing. It really is. And it just goes to show, when you've got all of the Arsenal fan base screaming at Arteta, please play the youngsters, that is enough to show you it is an issue. It is. We, as Arsenal fans, are very used to seeing young players breaking into the team. Saka being the most recent big one. I'm talking Jack Wilshere as well. Like, we've been through moments of absolute brilliance, of academy players bursting onto the scene, and we haven't had that with Arteta yet. He hasn't brought in a super young player and given him a long run in the team for him to show just how good he is. Obviously, he gave Nwaneri, it's a little bit of a tough one, that, if you're basic like me. He gave him his debut last season against Brentford away from home. So it is there. He just needs to trust it. Just trust it. And I think we'll have more Sakas. We'll have more Eddie Nketiahs. We'll have more Reece Nelsons, Emile Smith-Rowes, players that do show genuine quality. And you know what? In today's market, having a player like a Saka come through, it is the difference between potentially hundreds of millions of pounds, in terms of, we have Saka now who is worth hundreds of millions, or we'd have to buy a player like Saka for hundreds of millions if we want someone like that. It's huge. Getting the academy right, I think, is actually more important than getting transfers right at sometimes. These young players coming in and doing jobs for your team, it's so important. So I hope eventually Arteta does trust in the academy a little bit more. But either way, guys, the group is finished. As you can see in the bottom right, 6 games, 13 points. Hopefully we get a good draw. I'll be very keen to see who that will be. And on to Brighton at the weekend.